What's going on? Welcome back to the Moair podcast. Today's guest is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He is the face, more like the voice of the National STOL competition. He's a private pilot working on his instrument rating, and he has a tailwheel endorsement. Please welcome Ryan Dembroski.
What's up, everybody?
All right, Ryan, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your aviation background, and then we'll go from there.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on. It's really cool to meet you and to see what you're doing. I've seen some of the episodes you've had out, and it's just great to have another voice in aviation. So privileged, honored to be here. Thank you very much. How much time do you have, man? I mean, aviation is I am the epitome of that phrase. How do you know if someone's a pilot?
They'll tell you. Yeah.
They'll tell you. That is me. So, private pilot, getting started in instrument rating, tailwheel endorsed. If you follow National STOL, everyone knows I learned it at J3 Cub. I got to mention it every time. So that's a little different experience. Most people learn 172s or Cherokees, or maybe now light sport aircraft now. With more modern carbon fiber light sports. So yeah, for me, aviation, I was that aviation kid, right? That dude, I was drawing airplanes. That was the first thing. I found old pictures my mom had saved, and it's I was drawing dogfights, maps of dogfights and stuff when I was a young boy, and never really understood that I could actually do it. You know what I mean? Just didn't know. Yeah, went to school. I went to University of Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin, and ended up with a degree in filmmaking and theater. Wow. Maybe unsurprising to folks, filmmaking and theater. And they had a flying club there. I never knew about it. Totally missed it.
The whole time you were there, you didn't know?
No idea.
Oh, yeah, man, that's
no
rough.
idea. I was too busy chasing girls and meeting my wife and, whatever.
Typical college kid, yeah.
Yeah. So that aviation kind of wasn't a thing for me for a while until, and not a sponsor right now, but hey, call me. Ford Motor Company did this thing back in 2009 called the Fiesta movement. So the Ford Fiesta car came out back into the United States, and they brought on 100 YouTubers / influencers. I had no audience on my YouTube channel. I made 3 or 4 videos. But I drove I rented a Ford Focus and drove it through a wall of boxes. And Ford Motor Company was that was awesome. We're going to give you this Ford Fiesta for 6 months and send you on these missions all over the United States. You drive the car and do these goofy things and make videos. And one of them I got to do was go to air combat class in Fullerton, California. I don't know if the school still exists, but it's called Air Combat USA. I think they've changed their names or something by now. Google it. You can Google it and be like, they still exist.
Right, yeah. I'll put it up there. Yeah.
But so it was so cool. I went over there, drove from Wisconsin all the way to Los Angeles, basically, right? And we flew over the Pacific Ocean in these SF-260 Marchettis. They're the Italian close air support planes, the low wing ones. Marchetti also makes a bird dog, kind of modified bird dog thing. These are the low wing, fightery types. It's a side-by-side seating arrangement and retracts high performance airplane. And you're just high yo-yos, low yo-yos, circle battles all over the Pacific Ocean out there. I puked so much. It was super gnarly. It was cool though. And that even though we landed, there's a video on YouTube you can find. But we landed, I'm literally covered in puke. Sorry, folks, we're just getting right into it. And I was I loved it. I felt horrible for a whole day, but I was I love this. And so after that, went looking around for flight schools. I was I gotta do this. I gotta. There was a part of it that's a little sad, is I had a cousin who'd passed away in his mid to late 30s, and there's a part of me that was I gotta do this. You know what I mean? Why are we we have limited time? So
right.
Had the experience, had kind of the impetus, the little bit of like, whoa, like mortality sets in a little bit. And I was like, I got to do this. And so found a flight school in Hartford, Wisconsin. It's actually where one of the National STOL events is. It's Cub Air flight in HXF, Hotel X-Ray Foxtrots, the airport there, Hartford, Wisconsin. We do sodbusters there for National STOL.
Yeah.
And so like learned in the Cubs, and it was like the most affordable place to go. And I drove 45 minutes each way, uphill both ways in the snow to get my pilot certificate. And I've been flying ever since. That was back in, I think I finished in 2012. And then, that was like the beginning of it. And then after flying at the J3s for a while, found my way into some 172 clubs closer to home in Milwaukee. And so I've been flying 172s since back in 2012, just like motoring around.
So the crazy thing that you kind of just glazed over like it was nothing is your first non-commercial flight was aerobatic in dogfights.
Yeah, and I had like a little bit of exposure, right? So like before then, like when I was a kid, there was an EAA event that my dad got me a helicopter ride at. And that was cool. That was like, like a 5-minute, 10-minute, kind of like not too dissimilar they do at Oshkosh, right? With the bells. It was something like that. I got to find a picture. I think it was a Robinson, and like very young. That was cool. Had done a couple commercial flights as a kid. And then there was like one Cessna flight before all of that where I work in the TV and film industry I make TV commercials. And
nice.
I direct and produce them. And so we were producing some commercials down in Tampa Bay, and they had the F1 race down there. And so the guy who organized the race, like locally, had his pilot certificate. And so he's like, let me take you up in a plane, and I'll like point at where the race course is so we could shoot out the window. Gun. I did a gun thing. Cameras. Yeah. And so so anyway, that was like a 20-minute flight too. So I had like 2 general aviation flights as far as I can remember. That's growing up. And then then I'm into aerobatics and looking up at the Pacific Ocean, trying not to, I did Ralph, but
yeah, it's okay. Most of us probably would have, with no like G training or anything else, just hopping in and going. A lot of people would have probably done
breakfast.
That. Oh,
way too
bad
big
idea.
For breakfast.
Bad idea. Yeah. So I just learned something new. Those tire explosions in F1 is Ryan shooting at them from the air. No, I'm kidding.
100%. Yeah, that's me. No, so I mean,
I'm sorry. Man. I had to go there because you did.
No, guns. It's fine. I did it. Yeah. No, if you're a director, it's this. It's like
so. You went from that crazy experience. Very little aviation prior to that. You've always had that dream, like most of us, looking up at the sky, seeing the airplanes flying over, but it always felt too far out of reach until you had that like life-changing, life is short. I got to do what I want to do, enjoy life while I can. And then you immediately went into flying a tailwheel Cub, which is also crazy to start your private in a tailwheel. I don't know. Most people, maybe they're okay with that. I started in tricycle gear and then moved to tailwheel, and it was a totally different animal on the ground.
Yeah, it is 100%, right? And so I will be honest. So the path for me to J3 was mostly based on cost to start, just being like super transparent about it. So the path after the Fiesta movement was, where can I go? Can I afford to do this? It was primarily based on cost. And so I ended up loving it though, right? So it wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have stuck with it if I didn't like it. So I'm looking for a place to fly. Prices for flying like a Cessna, I was like, I had just gotten married. We didn't have a ton of money. I was still like early in my career. And so I was like, I guess gliding. Like gliding, is it like, because that seemed affordable and cool, and like my dad had always had a like a small sailboat. We didn't have like a yacht or anything, but like we had like a small sailboat we'd like sail around in. And so it's like, oh, it's like sailing. Like it'll be like I enjoy that, so I'll probably enjoy this. And so I went. Another example of me getting sick. So went in this glider. They have the Wisconsin Sailing Club is in Hartford as well, and they tow them up in Pawnees, and then they fly around as long as they can. And so I bought a flight, like a an intro flight in this Schweizer like 2-seat glider, and that was cool. But like that day was like no lift really, but very hot, and so we're like over the Walmart parking lot trying to like thermal up, like pulling tight circles, and I'm turning green again. I'm like, oh, again. I didn't puke, but I had a great. I mean, I still want to do gliding and sailplane flying, and so landed, and then I don't know how else to describe it. Sailplane clubs, gliding clubs are like, it's a team sport, right? Because it takes multiple people to get these aircraft into the air. And so there's I called them like the sailplane grannies. Like, I don't know. That might be insulting. I don't know. But like, they're like hanging out. It's like the husbands are going gliding. But
the
there's
groupies,
like this,
yeah.
Yeah, there's like this social group of these wives primarily that are hanging out, and they're all a little bit older because it's like, I think a thing that like older dudes tend to do. Maybe you're losing your medical or what. There's a lot of reasons why you'd want to sail if you're older, fly a sailplane if you're older. I'm like trying not to yak on the side of the runway, watching the planes, get towed up into the sky, and like the sailplane granny comes up and she's like, oh, do you want a cookie and some lemonade? And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like, this is real nice. And then it's like out of a movie, right? I look right, and there's this beautiful yellow J3 Cub short final coming in, and the pilot pulls the throttle back, and it does that like whistle, like the prop does the little whistle thing through the air, and like perfect 3-point. And then because it's like a fabric plane, you can kind of hear it bounce, a certain way, and it like rolls out. And I was like, what's that? Like, I was like, what is that? Like, I had no idea.
That's what I want. Yeah.
Let's do that. So I went home. They're like, oh, it's a flight school over here. I went home, did the math. And back then, I mean, back in 2009, I guess like 2009, 2010 now, it was like $65 an hour.
Ooh,
for the plane. Nice. It was like 90, I think $90 an hour with the instructor. It was like so affordable. Everything else was like well over $100 an hour. And so I was like, I'm basically almost getting like 2-for-1 flight hours.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I was like, I think I can do this. So I went and I met them and took a flight. And the other thing that was, I think, really helpful was someone who, and this is, if you're listening and you're not a pilot, and you have maybe like motion sickness or air sickness, like you will 100% develop a tolerance to it. You just need to like let your body get used to it. And I think the J3 also worked for me because I started in the summer and the doors open and you're just getting blasted by air the whole time, and your body, right? Like that's part of what you need, right?
You can feel the movement. Yes.
Yeah. So you're feeling the wind on your face, and like you're breathing fresh air, and like, it's more like a motorcycle in a sky. Not quite. It's not like an air cam or a breezy or anything, but like, you're like, you've got this big open space and all this air, so your body knows exactly what's happening to it, because that's the thing, right? It's like the disconnect.
Your eyes are telling you you're moving, your inner ears telling you you're staying still, because the air in the cabin's moving at the same speed you're moving at.
Yeah.
So like whenever you get to open,
So I think that was part of it too. But just like this is going to sound silly, but I think you'll agree, or maybe you will. Everyone I've said this to says I'm not crazy. It smelled like history in there, man.
Yes, those old planes, just the fabric older planes, like the metal older planes, the fabric older planes. I don't know what it is about that. I don't know if it's something they use that as adhesive or whatever.
Like the oil and like,
it smells amazing. I
was like, this is like it. There's something neat, nostalgic to this like vintage aircraft. It is more about when you're flying that airplane, it feels more about being at one with the aircraft, with the sky, with the weather. I mean, you go down, you're flying over the corn in Wisconsin. You can smell the corn. You can smell the manure. You can smell whatever, right? You can smell where you're at. I guess I really like smelling things, is what people are learning on this podcast. But it's just a more like visceral experience. And I love like flying the Cessnas is great. Like I can get someplace and it's more comfortable. I can fly it in the winter. Dude, like flying a J3 in December. in
Oh,
Wisconsin. Like you get like one chance. Yeah.
you're like all bundled up. You can't even reach a stick
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
It's hard. It's cool,
Yeah.
but it's hard. So it's just something about it, and it felt more about like like we talk about stick and rudder flying. Is what it
Yeah.
felt, and I was really captured by that. I do think then after you do that for a while, they at that school they transition you. Now I think they transitioned you to like a 150 or 152. At the time, it was a Cherokee 140. So you transfer into that. Now suddenly you're like, whoa, gauges,
Yeah.
like, and you're learning all of that, and so I love that that for me like captured the passion of it, right? It was just like this thing is like I'm up here like I'm an aviator, like you got
Right.
that vibe of like I'm up here like I'm at
You
one with the world, like
you learn the
looking
right
out through my
way.
little door.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You learn the right way in something like that with not as many gauges or not as many bells and whistles because you do have to feel the airplane. You do have to like look outside to see kind of gauge how fast you're going and all that stuff across the ground. And you just basically learn to feel fly better than look fly, which is a lot of students' problems in nowadays aviation with everything being glass cockpit and everything. They're all focused on the screens like it's a
Hmm.
video game and they forget to look outside, you know? So a lot
Yeah.
of instructors that I've talked to have said that like, hey, sometimes we just cover up all of it. And we're just like, hey, look outside. You can't see anything inside anyways. So just feel the airplane.
Hmm. Yeah, and that I think that served me well, right? Like that foundation. Tailwheel pilots always talk smack. They're like, "We're the best," um, but I think it's true. No, so I think that what it does though is it lays a foundation for you to do that first. Laid an interesting foundation for me, and I would recommend it to anybody who has the opportunity. You're not going to always have a school with tailwheel aircraft to learn in right away.
It's hard to find
Um,
around here.
yeah, it is. I mean, because it is harder, right? And it's also it's more challenging. I have a friend who this is I won't name names, but like he was in the school the same time as me, and his feet were just because he's like a taller dude. His feet were large enough that he couldn't comfortably fly the J3 because he couldn't get his feet past the seat, like the seat frame onto the
Yeah.
rudder pedals, because you fly from the back. So for folks listening or watching, like J3 Cub is tandem seating, where the passenger actually sits in front, the pilot sits in back, and that's a weight and balance issue with the design with the gas tanks actually in the nose. So you need to counteract the gas with your body. And so you're sitting in the back, and so your feet are kind of straddling the person in front of you, and the rudder pedals are kind of like where their like butt or like thigh would be. And if your feet are really big, they hit that seat. And so then it's like you don't have your feet in a tailwheel airplane, you're doomed, right? If
Yeah.
you're not effectively able to tap those rudder pedals. And so it's hard. It's hard to get access to. I would say though, like for everybody that's flying at all, like there's so many places that offer like if you're already a certificated pilot, like go get your tailwheel endorsement. It has been really valuable. It served me really well. Just flying, like just flying the larger airplanes. And it's funny to talk about a Cessna 172 as a larger airplane, but like flying, different airplanes, like using your feet, using your ear, using your butt, like how do
Yeah.
you feel the airplane? It's really helped. And what I've noticed with friends who started in nose gear airplanes and have transitioned to tailwheel airplanes, they've also then like you don't have to have it as the first thing. It's
Right.
cool. I'm
Yeah.
proud of it. Clearly, I
Yeah.
talk about it all the time. But like you can you can get that, and it's going to change your relationship with mostly with the rudder pedals, right? But
Right.
it's going to
Definitely.
change your relationship with the airplane. So anyway, so it's two different things, right? Like when you're in the air, yeah, it's just like standard flying. You're putting pressure on the pedals. For me, the landing and takeoff environment, I think the reason people talk about dancing is like the way I was taught, and it could be aircraft specific too, but it's like to literally tap, right? Like as you're going
Yeah.
down the runway, just like tap, tap, tap. Don't press and hold because you're gonna like
Right.
like you're
Yeah. You're way off.
that
Yeah.
noise. If you're listening and not watching, that noise was me pantomiming an airplane leaving the runway. So oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, that I think that maybe is where that comes from, but 100%. It's just you're just thinking about it. You have to think about it differently, and I would liken it to like, for instance, one of the things I want to do. I got to get a good supply of barf bags. Is I want to go do upset recovery because
Oh,
it
yeah.
gets you to think about right or
Yeah.
aerobatics, right? Like it gets you to think about your relationship with the airplane, when it will and won't fly. You know, the whole thing, like you can stall an airplane
Right.
like in a dive, right? Like,
Yeah.
like people don't think about that because they're used to thinking of it not two-dimensionally, but almost. They're not thinking
Yeah.
about the way that an aerobatic pilot flies. Anyway, I digress. This is the problem, man. I go nut. I just keep talking.
No, you're good. People that aren't aviation or pilot related don't understand what a stall actually is. They think a stall is either the engine quits,
Right.
or
right.
that you're going too slow, which neither of those is a stall. You know, a stall is all about the angle of attack on the wing and disruption of airflow. So it doesn't matter what attitude you're in. Doesn't matter what attitude you're in. You can stall the airplane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And it also, I think the thing to harp on it a little bit is like, it's just another maneuver.
Yeah.
It's
not scary.
It can be.
Yeah.
You gotta, if you treat it like that, then it won't be a scary thing. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's the long-winded, how did Ryan get into airplanes, / tailwheel airplanes,
which is awesome. So once you got your private license and all that stuff, you joined a flying club. You've talked about you fly mostly 172s now. What is your goal in aviation? Is it just fly around and have fun? Is it fly for work? Is it you want to be a commercial pilot one day? Or, you know, what's your goal?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, right? So I just I just love it so much. So I think my first goal, which is how the national, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a little bit, like National STOL and
Yes.
EAA and the work I do there. That is all about aviation has given so much to me. So I think my first goal is like, how do I give back? How do I share this thing that has provided so much value to me with other people? So that's like goal number one. But like in the cockpit for me right now, so right now it's like you said, private pilot, tailwheel rated, getting started in instrument. I've had some like fits and starts this year with like the aircraft needing maintenance. We were sharing before the podcast, like it's a partnered aircraft. There's 14 of us that fly it. One of the partners, not me, damaged it, and everything in aviation takes time. So we've built aircraft on the ground for like 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see by the time it's over, getting some control surfaces replaced. Not a big incident, like no one was injured, just like it was a ground handling incident. And so that stuff kind of gets in the way, right? But like right now, kind of looking to restart the instrument rating, very different than tailwheel flying. Holy cow.
Yes.
And then so that's that. And I want to see if I like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I just want to see if I enjoy that, because if I enjoy that, I think like my goal from the beginning had always kind of been like, all right, like get the instrument rating, CFI, and like get my CFI in time to, if my kids want to learn how to fly, I could teach them. I actually don't know if now that I have kids, if that's a good idea. Like maybe someone else should teach them. But like share it, right? Share that passion with other people. And then there's a thing that is always in the back of my head of like, well, right now I'm working in TV and film. I love it. I've done quite well for myself in that industry. But like that, I mean, it's just a weird place. Like AI is taking over. Like we've got, people are doing bids in AI now, like coming up with budgets. Like it's like things are all being driven by this like weird computer partner. And so I'm not convinced that the market that I'm used to is going to exist forever.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that's like, okay, like, you know, you love this flying thing. Like, let's just make intentional steps towards flying commercially so that we can like, if I want to jump down the road, or I need to jump because no one makes TV commercials anymore. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not happening. I don't think AI is at the level yet that we could use it for everything, but you know, hopefully that doesn't
getting
take
there.
away.
It's getting scary. That's a whole separate podcast though. But yeah, so that's the thing, right? Is like moving that direction just intentionally. Like, do you like instrument flying? If I end up loving it, it's like, well, now, hey, like I've got buddies that fly corporate, even just freelance as corporate pilots. Like that could be a cool way I'm a freelancer right now. I freelance, direct, and produce TV commercials. Like I could just add that. Oh, you need me to fly something? You know what I mean? Like, so that's just like the path. But I think the biggest thing is like in the cockpit, outside of my announcing stuff and everything, like that is the goal, is just to be safe, be proficient, continue to explore and find joy in it. For me, as someone who's going to these shows all over the country, having the skill set to be able to point a faster airplane to Jennings, Louisiana, and beat the airlines like door to door is
Right.
also interesting. So that's part of kind of where my head's at right now. Again, very different flying than the Cub flying. But if you've got this cool skill set that, privileged enough to be able to have this knowledge in my brain, like, let's use it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I kind of have similar goals now. My goal was originally commercial, right? That's what I wanted. I grew up poor, so that didn't help out any. And then I went into law enforcement for a while, but I'm getting back into aviation. And like you, I wanted to share aviation with my children. I don't know
Yeah.
if any of them are going to like aviation or not, but I would like to have the opportunity. So I want to go back and get a CFI. I want to have my own plane, and I kind of want to teach my kids that. Um, Kind of sad to share this, but my wife has never actually been in a general aviation airplane. She had never been in any airplane whatsoever until 3 years ago. We went to Cancun. It was her first flight ever.
Well, I mean, what a cool first flight, though.
Right. Yeah. It was great. So I want to get that. I want to take my whole family, just, obviously start with short hops from here to where my wife's from, which is 2 hours north by car. And then once we get used to that, then we can go on like actual family trips, which would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're open, I'll give you some advice. So this is something that just happened for me like a year ago.
Okay.
So my wife was my first passenger, which was very generous of her. I think she was pretty freaked out. We were flying the Cub like around, and I think she enjoyed it. She gets like debilitatingly sick in the 172 for whatever. I think it's that thing we we're talking about. Like,
yeah.
And so she doesn't fly with me very often. There's a whole story of misadventure of like me trying to take her on like a romantic like fall flight, and like we ended up having to like land short of our destination so she could like get her wits about her because she's turning green and stuff.
Oh.
But so my advice to that is like, and what I did with my kids is I was like, when it was time, this was just a year ago. So I had been flying this whole time they've been alive, and my thought on it was, I think people have different views. Either like just start them young and go for it. My wife had reservations, so I was like, okay, if you've got reservations, then what I'm going to do is I'm not going to force this. I don't want this joy that I feel to accidentally be not joyful. I want
to become trauma.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I was like, I'm going to wait till the kids ask. And when they ask to go up, no matter what age it is, like that's when I'll advocate for it inside our relationship. And waited. The kids got to play around planes. They go to Oshkosh. They like been around it. But finally, last year, she was 9. Now she's 10. Was like, hey, like I'd like to go see the fall colors or the leaves or something. I don't remember how she didn't ask that succinctly. It was just like, I want to go for an airplane ride.
Right.
And it's like, oh, like the fall, like the leaves are changing. I think that's what it was. She was just like, I want to do this. And I was like, we could do this. Go see the leaves change. And so like, credit to my wife, like got on board and like, let's get the kids ready. And so we just planned. My plan was twofold, and it worked. That's why I'm like advocating for it. Was like, got everyone in the plane, all 4 of us, and safety briefs, everything, just like any other passengers. And I said, it was a little windy that day. I think if I could go back and do it again, I would have scrubbed the flight. Because it was like gusting pretty hard, but it was right down the runway, and I'm hanging out with all these like top STOL pilots all the time. So I was like, oh, there's a little wind, it's fine. It wasn't bumpy, it was smooth, constant wind. And so we took off, and what I said was like, hey, everyone just has to be okay for 5 minutes ish, right? We just need to go around the traffic pattern once, and what we're going to do is we're going to take off, we're going to go around the traffic pattern, and we're going to land. And we're going to get off the runway, and we're just going to check in as a family. How's everybody doing? And then if all 4 of us decide we're going to keep going, we'll go for a little bit of a longer flight.
That's
smart. So we went around the pattern, came in, landing was a little, I was like, oh man, like this is a little sporty wind. It was just, I don't remember what the winds were, like 20 something. But again, it was like right down the runway. And so we're having this like steep, slow approach as we come in. and I greased it, thank God.
Yes.
And then like pulled over, and I think my wife was done. We haven't talked about it, but I think she was done. The kids were like, "Yes, awesome, let's go." And so I was like, "Everyone good?" And I was like, "Good, good." And then like she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Okay." Like pulled back on the runway, took a few minutes because it's a towered airport, get back up, and we flew from, if you're looking on a sectional, we flew from Timmerman Airport, Mike Whiskey Charlie, towards, there's a little dot on the sectional, like kind of to the northwest. It says Holy Hill. It's a cathedral that's like up on a hill, Holy Hill.
Wow.
And so you can kind of like loop around it. And it's a great first flight in our area because it's like we have a mission. You can see it in the distance. We go around it. You get the cool view of this big cathedral on the hill. And then you can beeline it home. It took forever because we were going into like I think it was like 35, 40 knot headwind at altitude.
Wow.
So cars are going almost as faster than us, right? And we're just like trucking along. And I look at my wife and I see her hand is like gripping, like tightly gripping the handle of the door on the 172. And I was like, "You all right?" And she looked, and again, time of the year, she knew that if she was like, "I feel sick," everyone was going to suddenly feel sick, right?
Yes.
Like kids are pantomime, like they what's the word? They transfer your feelings to themselves sometimes.
Yes, they're
telegraphic.
What is it? Empaths?
Well, they're empaths. Yeah. So they she looked at me, she's like, "No." And I was like, "All right." And I was like, "Hey guys, like, I think we're going to turn around and go home. This is taking too long. We'll do this again." And I get ready to turn, and my wife goes, "I really want to see Holy Hill though." And I'm like, "I'm trying to get you out." I'm trying to get you out. That was your out. So we go over Holy Hill and we like drop the wing, and then she's like, like she's not feeling very well. And we come back around. Well, now we've got this tailwind that's just like we're cooking back home. And I'm like, "Let's get on the ground."
Firewall,
like, we gotta get it. We gotta get her home and safe. And so she's feeling well. And anyway, we got it down. It was great. It was a short flight. It should have been like 20 minutes shorter. But the headwind hit us. So my point is, like, if you're going to do that, you're going to introduce your kids, like the little hop, right? Especially if someone's not sure, you're not sure if someone's going to feel. It's like, hey, like all you need to do is stay calm for 5 minutes or 7, whatever your traffic pattern time is in your airplane.
Yeah.
And that's that. And then you need to be fine with, and this was hard for me as an airplane nerd dad, but like, I was like, if they say no,
we're done. Yeah.
Then we're done. And that 5 minutes is going to be the win, right? Because I give them autonomy and control in the situation. So that seemed to work. Now, have we gone flying since? No. Yeah. Right? Like I think what happened, like my oldest got a little queasy once we stopped moving. It's like that boat sickness where you feel fine on the boat and you get on land. And so everyone's feeling a little like, I don't know. And so we're just hanging out. Wait until the next time they ask and we'll do it. But so that's my advice, is like short, right? Like I think you want to do a long trip, but I mean, like, dude, if a kid's like yakking in the back, there's nothing worse than like, we got to push to Colorado or whatever. Right. So give it just a
whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and that's also, I think it's like having my wife there was great because, we're climbing out and the kids were having so much fun. Like know your radio stack, right? Like I was like, oh, like I am so distracted, like isolate, right? Like it's just me. But then I had to say to my wife, like, they aren't going to be able to talk to me. Like I need to focus on our safety right now. And so having her like being able to like still talk to them and let them know what I was doing. And the other thing, my memory from that, just to share the joy of it, which I think you'll find when you do it, is like they were making fun of me for the like being on the radio, like they could hear like my radio voice of like, like, oh, for Uncle Victor, like, or Uniform Victor, we call the plane Uncle Victor. Like whatever, like we're doing this in the pattern or whatever. And then my daughters started going, Roger that, copy that, which we don't say on the radio, but they were like, no. Oh, he's on so they're like, Roger that. And they're just like shouting it and laughing and giggling in the back. When I put them on isolate, they were laughing and giggling about it so much I could still hear them through my noise canceling headset, right? So it's like just so amazing, awesome. Right? So you just got to take those. I guess my advice is little bites. I know some people who are like, oh, like my kid flew when they were 3 weeks old. I think that's the other path, is just like, this is just what we do. No different than a car. Get in the car. Yep. Right? Well, like you'll be fine. I think there's two paths, but
my kids are past that path. They both been in commercial aviation, like commercial planes, but that's 100% different than flying in a 172 or anything general aviation wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's a big
you know,
difference.
that might be one of the things where I take your advice and say, hey, whenever you're ready, let me know, and then we'll do a pattern, make sure everybody's okay, and then if so, we'll continue on.
You don't want my kids get a little nervous sometimes, and you don't. I didn't want them to feel like I would be disappointed in them,
Right.
right? Like I didn't want them to hide the fact that they were feeling ill or whatever. If they, so that was the other part of the short hop. Is I was like, and I've done that with like nervous flyers, people who've come to me and said like, hey, I am freaked out by airplanes. And I'm like, oh, I think a little airplane's a really great way to get over some fear, because you can
Yeah.
literally fly it if you want.
Yeah.
You can literally like when I tell you it's okay, like you can
Right.
literally interact with this thing and learn what it, you can come up to the airplane and this is the aileron and this is what it does and this is how it moves, or back here the elevator here, like look, like you can gently pick it up and down, like check it out, like this is a real thing, it's not going to break. And then say like, well, hey, we'll do this 5-minute pattern. I was like, all you need to do is sit on your hands, please.
Yeah.
don't grab anything, and just like get through 5 minutes. If you're comfortable with that, we'll go, right? And so they've gone, and it's like 5 minutes, and then everyone has been like, I'd like to continue, right? They just needed to get over that little bit of a hump, and like having someone who's like, you're in control here. I can't immediately land,
Right. Yeah.
right? But I can like we can immediately, like we can make haste. And
Right.
and then if they're comfortable with that, I've had some folks that's on my YouTube channel, like I joke with them, it's like, we're gonna go 3 mistakes high, and then like, again, I'm not an instructor, but like as
Right.
just as a someone sharing the passion, saying like, hey, your controls, right? Like
Yeah.
you can turn the airplane, climb the airplane, and see what it does. And that's, I think, really cool too, if you can share it like that, because then people
Yeah.
can say, okay, like this is the thing I could do, the thing I could be excited about,
It's not something to be scared of. Like
right?
I can see how to maneuver this thing. It makes sense
It's
now.
not magic.
Right. Well, kind of. I mean,
It feels magical, but
it
yeah.
does feel magical. Yeah. All right. So now let's shift gears a little bit. We've learned about you and your aviation passion, which is awesome. I think that if everybody in the world had as much general aviation passion as what you have, we wouldn't have to worry about all these little airports shutting down, But
Yeah, man. Yeah. Don't get me
how,
started on that. Yeah. Got to save those airports. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How did you get into the National STOL stuff? Because that is amazing.
Yeah, so a little bit of background. National STOL is a nationwide circuit competition series for short takeoff and landing. It's part of the same scene if you've seen like STOL drag, but this is traditional STOL. So like STOL drag is like a drag race between two airplanes. This is more of like that spot landing competition turned up to 11. So I think you had John McCardle
Yep.
on your podcast, right? So people saw or heard that podcast. You got to meet one of the best pilots in the series in his new Bearhawk 5.
That thing's crazy.
It's totally bonkers. But so basically what it is like, to give people a little bit just a context of what we're looking at, right? Is airplanes will take off from a line. They'll line judges will, I should be able better at explaining this since I do it literally almost every month, sometimes every weekend. All right, Starting over. Pilots will take off from a line, right? So they'll full throttle from a line, pull back on the control surface, get off as short as they can into the air, and then line judges measure the distance from the line to where their main wheels left the ground. They go around the traffic pattern and they land, and we measure the distance from the line to where their wheels stopped. And you add those two scores together, and sometimes I talk about it as like airplane golf. It's whoever has the shortest score wins. There's one other little complicating factor, which is if you land before the line, that run doesn't count. It's a scratch. So imagine we're going into a sandbar. You and I are in that Super Cub you learned in, and we're going to do some fly fishing on a sandbar. Well, if we land too short, we get wet, right? We can't have that. We need to land short and proficiently short. So the competition, National STOL, has been around for a little over 5 years now. And I got involved. They did their first event was in Gainesville, Texas. And I wasn't part of the organization yet. And then I kind of came on in 2020 during all that COVID stuff. And they started doing their tour all over the country, building the series out to the point where now in 2025, we had 11 show sites and 12 events nationwide. And we went as far west as, I think the furthest west we went was Moses Lake, Washington, part of the air show there. And the furthest east we went was Virginia Beach, Virginia, like just south of there at the Military Aviation Museum. And then also south and north, right? We were all the way down in the Gulf at Jennings, Louisiana, and then, Wisconsin for Sodbusters. And so I think technically Wyoming is probably a little bit further north. So anyway, like all over the United States, I've seen so much of the United States doing this series. And as many as like, I think the top pilots, we had like 37 pilots at one event. So it's like tons of pilots are showing up, huge crowds, thousands of people. One of them had a rock concert attached to him in Nashville, Tennessee, or a country music concert, I should say. So it's grown into this like super big thing. And so I wanted to give that context before I talked about me. Like, it is this organization. I'm not an owner in it. I'm just an announcer. And I'm excited to be part of it, but it is an organization run by Tom Wolfe, Karen Flannery, and Eric Farewell. And the three of them own it and run it. And then there are just so many volunteers that come on board, both on the production side to bring the broadcast that you see online and the show to you in person, to judges, to, the pilots are flying all over the country to do it. They're competing mostly for glory, right? Like there's prize consideration from big sponsors, and there's a little bit of a cash prize in there, but mostly it's there to just see who's the best and be competitive. And so it's like this big grassroots thing that's grown into this. I don't know. It's like they were saying at the last event, like millions and millions of views on YouTube. And like, it's grown into this thing. And it's also the only thing that, like you or I could go compete.
Right.
Like it is, you don't need a special waiver to do it. You need to be proficient in your plane. And if you're not safe, they're not going to let you fly. But it is a thing that, we've even had events where student pilots have flown with an instructor.
Wow.
Right. Like, so there's a way, it's because it's all just takeoffs and landings, right? There's nothing special. There's no, STOL drag, again, cool thing, same scene, pilots, a lot of the same pilots compete. That's two airplanes like drag racing next to each other. It is a different risk assessment than coming in and doing a short takeoff and landing. Right. So I love STOL drag. What I'm saying is this is very accessible. You could we were talking before the show. You're like, oh, like I would love to get a tri-pacer or a pacer someday. Like, come compete in the pacer or the tri-pacer. Like, it is literally, we've got Cherokee 180s, we've got Cessna 172s, we have fire breathing stuff too, like Steve Henry and Dan Reynolds doing their like unlimited class stuff. So all that to say, it's cool, and I'm excited. Awesome. I'm very lucky to get involved in it. My access to it was sitting in this house during the pandemic, shutdowns happening. And I was working at an ad agency at a time. All our shoots are getting canceled. I got two little kids at home, and we're going to be locked in this house. Right. I wasn't sure where is this going?
Right.
We're not supposed to leave. Like, there's no toilet paper. And so I was like, I have to have a project to like keep myself sane during this pandemic. And so I went on Amazon and I ordered, like, it was right as they're shifting to healthcare only items on Amazon. Right. And I'm like ordering all the lights and stuff I could find. And I set up a little studio in my basement and started this show called Super Aero Live. And it was every Wednesday. People would come on, aviators would come on, and we just talk like you and I are talking right now. We just hang or fly for an hour to a live audience. And that show, because it was the pandemic and because I'd met some people doing airplane stuff before and had done some vlogs and stuff, and just met some aviation influencers, I was able to get like some amazing guests. And so I had everyone from like Steve Thorne, Flight Chops, Chris Palmer, like people in the YouTube space that you maybe have watched, and then started talking to other connections and like one day I called a friend, I'll give her a shout out, Steph Strickland, who I'd met at Oshkosh a couple years ago. I was like, hey, like, I need guests for my show. She came on the show and she's like, like, maybe she does a lot of work with the jet teams. And so she's like, maybe they would come on because they're not doing anything right now. Right. And like, email the Thunderbirds, like, dear sir or madam, please, thank you. Right. Like I have this weird YouTube show. Would you come on? And, there's like, I think live we had like between 100 and 150 guests usually watch live, and then they get a couple thousand views afterwards. So pretty small. And Thunderbirds are like, yeah, we'll come chat. And it was like, awesome. By the way, normally no, but like, because of this unique situation, like, we'd love to just connect with the public, because that's what they're about, is sharing their passion for aviation. Crazy. And so now I've got like the Thunderbirds on. I'm trying not to puke in my basement because I'm nervous. Like, all this stuff's happening. Do this whole show. I mean, so it went on for, before I took a break, it was 100 episodes of like, with minimal, I think I stopped for the holidays over the course of the 2 years. But like basically 100 episodes almost every week. And National STOL starts and they're looking for an announcer, and just the right people saw the podcast, right? Like they were just like, oh, like, this dude could maybe talk about this stuff. Yeah. Right. Like, and I didn't know anything about STOL flying. I knew like J3 stuff. I was like, okay, like I know a little bit about tailwheel flying. I know about slow flight. I know about like soft field approach, like I know all that stuff from private pilot training. I got to educate myself real hard on this stuff. And I had always, like, for instance, like Frank Knapp, one of the great privileges I've had is getting to know Frank Knapp. If you don't know Frank Knapp, Google him. He is the current world record holder for short takeoff and landings from Valdez. He flew a plane called Lil Cub. Yep. I should just Google it real quick. Yeah, so 2017, Frank Knapp set the new STOL world record with a takeoff of 13 feet 8 inches and a landing of 10 feet 5 inches.
Wow.
In this little modified J3 Cub that he has. And so I've gotten to know Frank now doing the National STOL stuff, which is, it's amazing. But so like I knew about that, right? I knew about like that. I was like, wow, this is like a cool world. And they called me and they said, hey, would you come do this? We were going to do a show down at Sun and Fun. Went to Sun and Fun, started announcing, meeting the pilots. And like, as they say, like, the rest is history. But like that was literally just putting myself out there because I did this weird pandemic project. And then the right people seeing it and saying, we're doing this thing. Do you believe in this thing? I'm like, I could believe in that thing. It seems pretty cool. And then we did it. So now it's 5 years awesome. Of that.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. Like, and I will give you props. The whole,
no pun intended,
the whole National STOL thing would not be the same without your charisma and your voice. Just saying all the crazy fun stuff that you come up with off the cuff. Sometimes, like, I don't know, some of it comes from the chats, like picking up pennies. That whole thing. Chats, right?
Yeah, Cat. One of the internet. So what you're talking about is when a airplane is very tail high.
Yes.
Yep. There you go. And the prop is close to the grass. One of our internet commenters, actually, her name's Kat, and she also announces for eSTOL, which is a whole separate thing that's come out of this. And she talks about picking up pennies. So I kind of borrowed that. I always give her credit though, because I think it's looking for pennies. That's what it's looking for pennies.
Yeah, looking for pennies. That's right. Yeah. So just some of the crazy stuff that you guys come up with out there, and like a lot of people, especially non-aviation people, that get drug out there by the aviation people. Like at Pony Express, I drug my entire family there because it's in St. Joe, which is really close. So I drug my entire family. The kids loved it. My wife didn't really get it, which is understandable. She's not an aviation person, but listening to the commentary, she actually enjoyed it and had a good time, and we were there. So I think that they got the right guy for the job because...
Oh, that's kind of you to say.
Well, it's great. You always have something to say that's relevant, but also entertaining. So,
well, I mean, this is the thing. And this goes back to, and I thank you so much for saying that. Like, that means a lot, because I think, like, it is easy for me to make it exciting for you. It is not easy for your kids to understand it. And it is not easy for your wife, who's not an aviator, to understand it. Right. And so what you said, it means a lot hearing that, because aviation it can be quite obtuse. It's like so deep, and it's so much like nomenclature and vocabulary that people need to learn. So I that's like a pride point for me, is like, how do I make sure that your wife comes and maybe I can't guarantee she's gonna have a good time. I can try to, have some fun at the mic, and we can joke about stuff and explain when something's really impressive, when something isn't. But also, like, how do we talk about, there's always a section where it's like aviation 101. I'm like,
Right.
hey, like you've heard me talk about this word flaps.
Yes, over
Like,
and over.
What are flaps?
Right.
Like, and how do I explain that to you, to your wife in a way that she understands why something is or isn't interesting, right? Because so that means a lot, because I think that's really important, because if we want to grow aviation, like I said, it's real easy to target all the other av geeks, and I love like, that is my dude. Like, we're one big family, but we got to keep bringing more people in, and so that's part of it. And I do the same thing, at AirVenture. I've been really lucky. The folks there have hired me to become the new host over the last couple of years of this little property they have called Plane Talk. And it's something that's been doing for 20 years before I was involved. They have these big Bose carts, and they put them next to the jets in Boeing Plaza. And a guy named Jerry, he used to do this, and he would just interview fighter pilots and, all the other pilots on the plaza. And he retired, and they needed a replacement. They brought me in. And so we're sitting in front of like a F-15. How do you explain an F-15 to someone who doesn't know why it's impressive or interesting, right? And we could nerd out, and I could be like, oh, like, tell me about the thrust. Yeah. Tell me about the engines. Tell me about the gun and the missiles and stuff.
Right. But it's like fly-by-wire, hydraulic, like, that kind of stuff.
Let's nerd out, right? Like, how many, how fast can it go? And that's important to me and to you and to people who are like deep in the hobby and in the culture of aviation. But I also look at like the 5-year-old kid in front, and like, it's like, well, how does that kid know why this is cool? And then how do we teach that kid? I've got 2 daughters. Like, I'm particularly passionate about women in aviation. Like, how do I make sure that my daughters know that if this looks cool, they could do it? That if this looks cool, there's a career here, right? Like, you could go serve our country and do I always call it hot boy or hot girl stuff, right? Like, you could go like fly a jet. How do we make it relatable to them, right? Because it's like I said, it's easy to nerd out and be like, this thing goes Mach whatever. Well, cool, but like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's where I struggle. I struggle with that, trying to explain stuff to my wife all the time about aviation, because I just nerd out on it, right? And I go too in depth, and she understands none of it, so she stops listening. But you also have the gift of inflection. So when you speak and it's something really cool, you emphasize it with a different type of inflection. Maybe your voice raises a little bit, or
you're just talking about Ryan yells about airplanes.
Well, it's not just a yell. I mean, like, it's not the tempo or the loudness of your voice. It's also like the pitch. Sometimes, you get excited, and everybody can hear that you're excited, so they get excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I mean that, and I hope that it people know it's like legitimately genuine. Like, I think one of the challenges as an announcer of things, right, having done this stuff at EAA and the National STOL stuff, and now even being privileged enough for that to translate into like announcing an air show, like a full air show, is that like you are seeing something you've seen multiple times, right? And so there's a little bit of a performer's thing about like, how do I make sure that I don't lose my enthusiasm for this? Because if I'm not enthused, you're not enthused, right? Like, you need to, you're taking cues off me. There's a little bit of a responsibility there. But I've seen John McArdle take off and land 1,000 times probably, right? And he's amazing every time. And so there's sort of like this normalizing, right? Where it's like, oh, like that, or like, for instance, like Steve Henry, I think the shortest landing I've seen in the last last 5 years, Steve Henry at an event called Outlaw STOL in Arizona took off in 6 feet.
Yeah.
Now, he's got a crazy airplane. He had a bit of wind on the nose. That's insane.
That is insane.
But that's not every time.
Right. That's not the norm. You're correct.
So how do we put all that in perspective and stay excited about it and things like that? So anyway, thank you for saying it. It's a long-winded expression of gratitude for you saying that, but it's important. It's really important to me, because we gotta keep people excited. Right. Like when I announce air shows, so I've done 3. like I'm new to that side of it, doing like STOL announcing, STOL demo at Oshkosh, biggest air show in the world. Like I know
Right.
how to talk about that stuff, and I'm really proud of being able to do that, and privileged to do that. But the air show world is new to me now. But part of National STOL is now becoming like part of air shows. Like people are bringing them in to be part of an air show, and so did like the full air show at Moses Lake, and then did worked with Live Air Show TV on a couple of shows the year before that at Oceana. Like that's an insane. That we could do a whole podcast about everything I saw at the Master Jet base, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just insane. And then Billings as well. And so like those, right? Like that's new for me. And it's like, okay, now it's exciting because like now I have to figure out how to talk about a barrel roll. And I also need to know what the difference is between a snap roll and a barrel roll. And I need to know what a lumshavak is. And then I need to talk about figure out how do we explain these things, like we talk a lot about like in aerobatics, like the limiting factor on some of these airplanes is like the sack of meat inside the airplane is the limiting
Correct.
factor, right?
Yes.
So how do I explain that? So anyway, yeah, it's like how do we share this in a way that makes sense, and then how do we share it? I'm not. I mean, there are people who've been doing this a lot longer than me. I want to be clear, but like for me and my personal journey, that's the part I get excited about. Like National STOL it's got everything. It's like NASCAR, right? You got all the relationships, you got the rivalries, you've got the people like John McCardle, who's again we talked about was on your podcast, fighting off Brandon Korn, like the
And
two
Jared
of them.
Garrison.
And yeah,
Oh.
Jared Garrison. I mean, that kid, it's a whole separate thing.
Yes.
I keep calling him a kid. He's like a grown man. But so like
Yes, yeah.
like you've got all those things.
Yep.
On top of what the airplanes are doing, on top of what happens at this event, like the weather affects the event, and then like this event impacts this event because the season standings, like it's all like together. It's just a cool story. So I know that's kind of the thing people mostly see me, and I'm talking about a whole bunch of stuff all at once. But in the end, right, like what a cool thing.
Yeah,
like
it's amazing.
I if you would have asked me 5 years ago that I would be doing any of this stuff, I would have thought you were crazy. And I feel so incredibly lucky too. And again, like I'm meeting air show announcers and talking to them about air show announcing. And I'm going to be at the International Council of Air Shows in December, like meeting air shows maybe to do that because of the STOL stuff. Like it all just builds in this really cool way. And I'm learning so much, like, Matt Jolly, Rick Peterson, Brittany Nielsen, Luke Carrico, like all these like big time names you've heard at air shows are like sharing their knowledge with me and saying, hey dude, here's your responsibilities. Here's what's important. Make sure like protect your audience, like all these cool things they're teaching me. It's just, man, like,
That's
I don't know.
awesome.
So I'm getting, I hope it doesn't seem
really
like I'm
cool.
bragging. I hope it sounds like
you're very appreciative. Yes.
It is such a privilege and so crazy. And if you would like, if 5-year-old Ryan, who was like drawing airplanes, would have thought that he had a chance to be part of that community, whoa. So,
that is
anyway.
crazy. So that actually stemmed another question. I didn't know that you would actually like meet with the performers. So do they walk you through what their performance is going to be before they go up? So do you know like what's next? Basically, or do you just watch it and report as you see it?
Yeah. So I'm again like stressing, like I'm super new to this, right? But so basically what happens is you've got like a crib sheet. You get the arrestee diagram. I don't know if anyone knows about that. It's like basically like a aerobatic crib sheet. It's the diagram of what they're going to fly. And so some pilots will give you that, and so you'll have like I'm learning, how to read a resty. That's a new thing for me, right? So it's like here's when I'm going to do a loop, and here's when I'm going to do a roll, and then I'm going to do this maneuver, and so you can read that diagram and know what they're going to do. A lot of them will provide scripts for you, so you can read and then time it to what they're doing.
Nice. Okay.
Which is really cool. And then all the other responsibility that I didn't know air show announcers had. Compared to anchoring, like being a broadcast anchor where I'm just talking, is we're coordinating music, we're coordinating timing, like playing the music at certain points, right? So like if a performer's coming in, they might do a puff of smoke or something to like trigger the music so that they're act is coordinated with music,
That's
all the way to
crazy.
like the demo teams. Like normally the demo teams, the military demo teams bring in their own announcer, but at Moses Lake, I was lucky enough to the C-17 demo team didn't have their announcer with them, and they're like, here's the script.
You're like,
So
oh,
I'm like,
cool.
and I'm like, okay, cool. Like we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And so you get the diagrams of what they're going to do. You get the scripts if they have it, music if they have it. And then the other thing that's happening that's really, I mean, just like behind the scenes for folks who haven't done this, it was really cool for me to do it for the first time at Moses Lake was you have the air bosses up there next to you.
Yes.
And it's their job to make sure everyone's safe, right? And so if the performers are having an issue, maybe they don't know about yet, or if they're
out of the box or
exactly, they get out of the box, they're going to get what's called knock it off. The air boss is going to say knock it off, but the air boss is like controlling that airspace for them and making sure that everybody's safe. Well, now as the air show announcer, you're working with them too, because they're like, all right, like this person needs 5 more minutes. So now I got to talk for 5 more minutes. And it's like, all right, now they're coming in. All right, cool. Oh, this thing happened over here, right?
Yeah.
All the way down to like, you know, if there's an incident, how do we coordinate with that to make sure people are safe? So it's a totally different ball game from announcing National STOL, but it's adjacent, but it's just very different.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. The biggest part of it for me when it set in how lucky I was to start to do that work, we were sitting in Moses Lake and there's an air show briefing, right? Just like any like mission. And so where everyone's sitting in there, the air boss is getting the briefing. And then they were like, all right, your announcers today are, and they like turned to me and my buddy Cam Walton, who was on the mic. And they're like, yeah, they're going to do this. They're going to do that. And it's like a thing, man. Like sitting in, if anyone's listening to this, you ever get to watch or sit in on an air show briefing. And I've been able to do a couple of them now. Like it is the professionalism and the care that goes into that. It's like, you know, very serious. Like people are having fun, but like safety. That was new for me and very interesting too. So anyway, that's like the next chapter of Ryan, right? Like
that's awesome.
Ryan, the announcer guy is like starting to do these air shows and kind of like seeing if that community will accept me with open arms as well. And I can do a good job and do it credit. I mean, there's so many people who've put so much work in over the last couple of years to make that a cool thing for all of us to enjoy. So anyway,
that's really awesome, man. Yeah. I know that aviation is like this really great community. And once you're in it, like you don't know where you're going to go next. There's so many different opportunities out there. So what would your advice be to somebody who is maybe just getting started in their aviation life? Like one little, just Ryan's topic for you to think about.
You said little, and I was like, oh, here comes another 30-minute answer. I mean, they pay me to talk.
Yeah.
So I think it's twofold, right? And you were talking about like the one big family thing. I think the one thing that I get, so obviously it's like share it with other people, right? We talked about how do we share it with kids. I don't know much. Maybe you're going to cut all that stuff, but like
No.
we were talking about like, how do you share it with your kids? How do you share it with people that want to be pilots? How can you show them aviation is this magical thing, right? They talk about, I think it's called the overlook effect, right? Like when astronauts go up and they're like, whoa, pale blue dot, look at this tiny thing, right? It changes your perspective. I think we have a version of that too as pilots,
yes,
more terrestrial, closer to the ground.
Correct.
And, and it's just a real special thing that we get to do. And so share it with people. So I think it's like the biggest thing is just share it with people, right? Real aviation is an intimidating thing to get into.
Yes.
Like just full stop, right? So it's expensive. It can be more affordable than you think it is, right? I'm always waxing poetic on the National STOL broadcast about how my flying club costs less than my cell bill a month.
Right.
I mean, like, let's be
insane,
real, right? Like,
right.
It's how you need, if you want it bad enough, you will find a way, right? And I want to say that I know that's not true for everybody. Like there's some people, for instance, like you and I, it sounds like we have similar childhoods, growing up poor.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it
wasn't maybe a thing for me. It wasn't in the cards then, right? But if you have like, I think the range at which you have the ability to do this is broader than you think. right? So for
100%.
instance,
Yeah.
we were talking about Tri-Pacer before the show. What Tri-Pacer right now is going to go for like between $25,000 and $40,000.
So yeah, right now it depends on the basically what kind of avionics are in them. If it's bare bones, they're anywhere from 30 to 50 right now, which is weird. I always
Okay.
thought those were the lower end, but they kind of held after everything else started falling. So if
Okay.
you look,
Yeah. $30,000 to $50,000. That's a big number, right? That's a big number. Like, the cul-de-sac I live at, right? Like, how many people? There's a guy that's got a $30,000 Harley Davidson.
right.
You know what I mean? So it's just perspective, and I just think that's important. So share that perspective with people. That's one piece of advice. I think the other piece of advice is like, man, like, and we do this so well in aviation, is like, don't gatekeep this thing. Like, this is for
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
And don't gatekeep cross niche. Like, so for instance, like warbird guys, you got cool stuff. STOL
Yes.
guys and gals, I should add, like, get more women involved. Every girl every woman be like, come fly an airplane. Like, that's
Right.
a big thing too. That's just passion
Yeah.
for me. But like, you see at EA all the time, like the warbirds folks are over here doing their thing, and the STOL people are over there doing their thing, and the ultralight people are down here, and that's awesome. Like, find your niche, find your community, find what brings you passion. But man, if an ultralight person wants to come hang out with warbird people, you better open that door, and vice versa.
And they do, like, as far as
And
I've seen.
They do.
Yeah.
But I think maybe, and that is something that maybe could be shifting away. But I think that that's part of it too. Like, our outside lives, there's so much that we are limited by either your resources or your community or whatever. And what's amazing about aviation is that, like, National STOL, right? Like, I never listened to country music before. Now I'm hanging out with all these people that love country music. It's just a different community for me. Awesome. Dude, they welcome me in, and I mean this in the most transparent way. There are people that I've met in National STOL, either competitors, volunteers, whatever, that if we didn't have aviation to bind us together or to introduce us, there are people that before this I just never would have talked to.
Right.
Our lives are too different.
Yep.
And
you probably never cross paths at all.
Exactly. We would see each other, and there would be it would be like, that person is very different than my lived experience, and I don't share a lot with them, and I don't have a reason to interact with them. It's taught me a lot about that, right? Like, being part of aviation, and be like, man, like, maybe you should open your brain a little bit and like be more open to talking to people, because all these people, we have this shared passion. And now suddenly I'm getting exposed to, like I said, like, I never listened to country music before, and now I do. Right? You know what I mean? Like that, like, it's like people shared their joy with me, and I internalized that. So if I could summarize it, if I could bundle that for you, right? It's like open your arms, like, share this thing with everybody, and like, I guess that's it. Right?
Yeah, share it.
It's just share it. Just share it. Share it. And then I think the other thing is, like, it is easier than you think, and it's more affordable than you think. You can do it.
Yes.
And if you need help, like, dude, literally, like, put my socials and stuff in the show notes, go to Super Aero on YouTube, shoot me a message. Like, I will help you to the best of my ability. You're like, hey, like, I want to learn how to fly. I'll be like, here's some resources. Like, I don't know, like, I'll help anybody. It's that important to me.
Right. And a lot of people, if you just go to your local airport, find an old pilot that's sitting there, find anybody that's around the airplane, I guarantee you 99% of them will talk to you about airplanes, about flying. Yes. And some of them will probably even take you flying with them if they have the time. That's just how it is. So I agree. We need to share it. We need to open our arms to everybody else. And Brian Screws, who was also on this podcast, he has his own YouTube, One Aviate, right? He said it best. There's no other way to get the same perspective of the world as with aviation. So I think everybody should get the opportunity to experience that at least once.
Yeah. Yes. Preach. 100%. Yeah. And it does that. It does that 100%. So I think, if we had to wrap it up on like one thought for me, it's like, the more we can do to share this thing with people, the better off we'll be. And I think there's, like, I don't want to be like too dramatic, but there are legitimate, like, society improving things that come out of keeping general aviation and aviation alive, right? Like, from the most basic level to, general aviation is where firefighting lives. General aviation, there's so much that GA does for everybody. Two, like maybe a little more like complex, but like look at National STOL, look at the planes competing 5 years ago,
Yes.
and look at the planes competing now. And we didn't
It's
even get into
insane.
like all this nerd stuff.
No,
The
it's
amount
so
of
crazy.
innovation that this part of the STOL community has done, the amount of innovation in general aviation that's happened over 5 years in STOL flying is absolutely insane. And it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before those innovations that are on the experimental aviation side of things will fall into certificated flight. And
Yes.
so that's the other thing, right? So basically, what we're talking about is like under the experimental rule set, we have a lot more leeway to experiment. That's the whole point, right?
yeah.
And so for me, it's like, for instance, like looking at like the backcountry Super Cub Boss or the Badlands Traveler aircraft that were on the scene. You know, so those airplanes in the last year in National STOL have changed the scope of competition, and particularly in the speed range. You have airplanes that can
Yeah.
fly incredibly slow but still cruise like relatively actually faster than most STOL airplanes. Well, then what happens though, right? That happens, and then Legend Aircraft, Cub Crafters, um, Vans Aircraft, right? RV-15, like all these other manufacturers of aircraft are going, whoa, what's going on over here? Now they need to innovate and compete as
Yep.
well. And now look at what Legend's doing. The Cub Crafters just flew a carbon Cub up to like 37,000 feet.
Yes.
What?
37,000 feet with the, what was it? A 916 in it, I
Yeah,
think.
Rotax engine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy.
So so now you better believe, right, that every other manufacturer is going,
Hmm.
how can I do that? How can I innovate
Right.
and push? And so all of that is happening in this like STOL space. And that's just a separate, I don't know, we got kind of off on an innovation tangent. But I
Hey,
think
that's
my
cool.
point is like, that's okay. I remember now how we got here. If you share this thing with people, right? The more people you, I'm not saying National STOL, heck yes, please watch next season 2026. Like we would love to have you come to an event. The season will be posted, I think, in like December. Is what they're telling me. I don't even know where I'm going yet, right? Like that's all those contract negotiations are happening right now. And
Yeah.
so the come see us like base level, you should do that. But like every person that we share general aviation with or love for flight with, right, is another person that could potentially become a pilot, a mechanic, whatever, right? Like
Right.
however they get involved.
ATC, ground crews, anything. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Whatever you pick for your path, we need it, you know.
Yeah.
Aviation
And then
needs
we
you.
can make the community more robust,
Yes.
right? And then more good things happen for humanity, which is like a big jump to make. But like flying is a miracle, dudes.
Yes. It
Like,
definitely is.
like it's just insane, right? And so think about it. Think about it real tactically, right? You know, there's that story of the like, I think it's an F4 Phantom taking a organ to a like
Yeah.
child. It's
Yes.
like that famous story, like everything from that to like med flights to the fact
Natural
that like
disasters.
yeah, what's
Yes.
happening in Jamaica right now? GA is like in Alaska. Like GA is
Yes.
making a huge impact. Operation Airdrop and those other places. So like, there's that tangible difference. But then it's like, dude, like we said, like, hey, we're figuring this stuff out in experimental aviation and general aviation, and you know, pretty soon we're gonna have a supersonic airliner again, and we're gonna
Right.
have the fact that like I can hop on a airliner and in the same day visit my brother in San Diego. Like how recently was that a wagon ride?
Right.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Like it's just like
was it
this is where we're at. So
19 teens, somewhere around there was like the
oh
first
my god,
commercial
we're
aviation flight, right?
we're failing our av geek. 1914, the St. Petersburg
Yes.
Tampa airboat line.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's relatively short after the Wright brothers did their first powered flight, right? So that's kind of the experimental is what the Wright brothers did. That's experimental. And then within,
Yeah.
yeah, less than 10 years, we're flying in commercial aviation. We're
No, and then
taking
think
commercial
about
flights.
I mean, think about I was just at a an air museum in Dallas. Whoa, where was I? We're just and like we're walking. I'm walking through one of the founders of National STOL after the event in Sulphur Springs, and like they've got it laid out kind of chronologically, and we're like, wait a minute. like the difference between this airplane in World War II and this airplane in the Vietnam War,
Insane.
mere
Yes.
decades difference, like what is happening. And so we've slowed down a little bit, I think, as you know, we kind of plateau in technology, but like it's still happening and it's still
Right.
getting more cool. So I think that's, I don't know if this made sense to anyone listening, but that's my thing, is get involved, share it with everyone for the good of all of us. Please share it with everybody. And then I think, yeah, like, you know, big open arms. This is a community for everybody.
Yes.
And I mean that in the purest sense. Every person deserves to experience this, like you said. Like a lot of people have never had a commercial flight. I mean, dude, I went to Los Angeles for work to film a TV commercial, and I was talking to people that lived in LA, had never seen the ocean.
What?
It's right there.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard for people to get access to things sometimes, right? And so the more we can share it, I think, to inspire people, to give people a path to these different cool experiences we have, and share that, send the aircraft back down for them, right?
Yeah.
Land the plane for them and take it off again. Like, man, that, like, what a great privilege. So that's my thing. Share it.
Yes.
That was the longest answer you could have gotten from me on that, but I should have just said, share it.
Hey,
podcast over.
I liked it. Hey. So speaking of podcast over, first off, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at National STOL. If you don't come back to Pony Express, I'm going to be upset, because that was awesome. It was close to home, and I would like to drive to Nashville to do the Music City STOL. My wife loves Nashville, but at least Pony Express is a day trip for me and the kids and the wife. So Pony Express has to stay in. That's just my vote. I mean, I don't get any say in it, but.
Well, I mean, then you should reach out to the folks at Pony Express.
Yeah. At Rosecrans. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that, the two sides of National STOL are, there's the like national organization, and then every show site is run by show hosts. So
right.
We were really honored that we were selected by them to come. Right. And so that's keep chatting with them. Give them a call. There's a great crew there. At Rosecrans, and they were so welcoming. They actually put on an air show there as well.
Yes.
Every other year. And I think so. That's my like, not an answer might be like, it might be an air show year this year. I don't know. Nothing's been confirmed or denied. We might even be part of that. I don't know. But when I met the folks from Rosecrans for Pony Express STOL at ICAST last year, they were walking around with their giant plaque from the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, saying that they were the best air show the Thunderbirds had been to that year, which is amazing. So
yeah, they're really proud of that. Yes,
they should be. It's hard. It's hard to bring a jet team in.
Yeah. So, and then I end the podcast the same way for everybody, right? So if money was no factor for you and you could have any aircraft that you wanted for personal use, what would it be and why?
Ready for another hour of chatting? No. I should have anticipated a question like this. I think for me, if I could have any airplane, money's no option, I would be torn, because there's like the self-indulgent answer.
Yes.
Which would be like a warbird, like a P-38, or, something kind of like, everyone's got P-51s, right? So it'd be something like cool warbirdy, maybe more unique warbird side. But that's very selfish. L-39 would be cool, something like that. Live out your fighter pilot dreams, because that's part of it too. Is like, we're all cosplaying fighter pilots, right? So,
yes.
But I think, more likely, if I were to like really think about that, it would be something like a PC-12 or a Kodiak or something that could like carry a bunch of stuff, go relatively fast, and like take the family kind of anywhere is probably what the actual answer is. But yeah, either live out my fighter pilot dreams or be able to take the kids to Alaska or whatever, like
that's really cool.
The other thing is, I should answer the question, whoever wants to sponsor what I'm doing, I'm in. No, all airplanes are cool, but I think that's my answer. For instance, like, I think a realistic hangar for me, maybe that's another way to answer. A realistic hangar for me Sunday might be like a J3 Cub. Still miss it every day when I'm not flying one. And something like a RV8 or a RV12, not a 12, sorry, RV8 or like RV15. Something that can go fast and something that can go slow. and you got your fun flying, and then you got your transport flying. You got your kind of two sides. And if we're getting really silly, an air cam.
Ooh, I've always wanted to ride in one of those. Did you get to ride in one during the National STOL event? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
the things were. Did it?
Yeah, it's like being a bird.
That's crazy. So, and I have a stupid question. I know this wasn't planned. Sorry. In the air cam, as the passenger, do you sit in the front or the back?
So it depends. So
Okay.
The air cam, for folks listening, is a 2-engine open cockpit airplane. It was developed for National Geographic initially, so they could go fly over like the rainforest canopy safely. So 2 Rotax engines in the back, 100 horsepower each, very light airplane, but very large. And it's basically like flying in a canoe.
Yes. That's a good way to put it.
The engines are behind you and the nose is way out front. You see them on floats a lot, actually. And so my flight, the pilot I flew with, he would have put me up front and flown it from the back so I could experience what it's like to be out on the nose, just kind of like sitting in the sky.
Yeah.
In the rear seat, you've got some structure for the wing struts, kind of like coming over your shoulders. You're a little more enveloped in the aircraft. It was still amazing, but he had his rear airspeed indicator, which is like basically for convenience for the rear passenger or pilot, was not functioning. So his front cockpit had an airspeed indicator that was functioning. So he had to fly from there. So I sat in back, but normally what he would do is put the passenger up front so that you can just be sitting there in the sky. It is remarkable. And that's a whole separate conversation. We could talk about air cams for another 2 hours. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time out and talking to me. This has been a great time. I've really enjoyed just getting to know you a little better, and hopefully I see you at some National STOL events. And if you're ever in the KC area, just hit me up and we'll go out for dinner or something like that. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, same thing. If you're in Milwaukee, hit me up. And just so folks know where to find me, like nationalstol.com is where what we've been talking a lot about today, announcing that they call me the voice. I don't know if I'm comfortable enough accepting that honor, but nationalstol.com, you can go learn more about that. And then me personally, superaero.tv. So super AERO, like aeroplane .tv. You can see the YouTube stuff that we were talking about at the top of the podcast, and more stuff coming there in the next couple of months, which would be really exciting. So
awesome. Yeah. Looking forward to it. I will put his links somewhere in this. So you can either just type it in or copy and paste, whatever you want to do. And hopefully that works for you. I will try to put it in the description below as well. So if you want to just click on it and go straight to see what Ryan's got going on, go ahead. And like you said, go check out National STOL. It is the craziest thing you will ever see. I actually stream it on my TVs all the time because this isn't enough for me. I like this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 2026 is going to be pretty cool for National STOL. So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. It's been
thank you. Fun. And as always, people, remember, success starts with a positive attitude.
I like that.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to show me some support. Also, don't forget to check out Ryan's stuff at superaero.tv, superaero.tv. You can also check out the National STOL stuff at nationalstol.com. If you would like to be featured on an episode, go over to moairsales.com and follow the link, or send me an email at moairsales@gmail.com.